like we quite have. Maybe we do. We should look at the people first.
I think we're getting close.
Yeah, it looks like we do actually.
Okay, you want me to start?
I'm waiting for Marty to say something.
Right.
Hey, sorry about that. I'm here.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, and you are recording, so
I am recording.
all right. The time is 10:01, and I will call this meeting of the Truckee River Flood Management Authority Technical Advisory Committee to order. Let me get a roll call, please, Marty.
Janelle Thomas,
Here.
Chris Bronzik, Trina Magoon, Mary Horvath,
Here.
Joe Coudrier. Oh, hey, Mary. Joe Coudrier.
Retired.
Yes.
Mhm.
John Simpson. Rob Beadart. I saw
John
him.
Vaughn.
Ashley Elson.
Yeah.
Amber Sosa.
Here, good morning.
Donnie Gilman. Kathy Canfield.
I'm here.
Donna Noel.
I'm here.
Amira Morrow. Zachary Carter.
Present.
Chris Fritzen. All right, you have the roll.
Yeah. All right, moving on to item number 2, public comment. During this comment period, any person is invited to comment on any topic, regardless of whether it is listed on the agenda or not. Action may not be taken on any matter raised during this public comment period until the agenda item is opened or the matter is specifically listed on a future agenda. Those who wish to comment on an item that has been listed on this agenda may, if they prefer, comment when that item has been opened for consideration by the board and before action is taken. Comment must be made as described above and is limited to 3 minutes per person.
I have not received any public comment.
No raised hands that I see. All right, moving on. Item number 3, approval of the TAC agenda for Friday, July 15th or July 25th, 2025.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Trina. I have a motion.
I'll second. This is Zach.
Thank you, Zach. I have a second from Zach. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 4, discussion and possible action to approve the draft minutes of the Friday, May 30th, 2025 TAC meeting. Are there any comments, corrections, edits requested? If not, I'll take a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Thank you, Trina.
I second.
Thank you, Mary. I have a motion from Trina, a second from Mary. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. Motion carries unanimously. All right, item number 5, announcements. Director George Robeson.
All right, thanks. So I do have a few today. One, I think I wanted to get this out with everybody in the room here because it's important. We've been having discussions about our weather monitoring network. And so when we met with the Weather Service, we met with somebody from the River Forecast Center, we met with some people from the Water Master's office. And what we were really focusing on is what can we do to make it better for the River Forecast Center and also for the Water Masters with their, to be more of to help it feed into the predictive tools we have. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing is really fixing and upgrading our equipment. I just put in or Matt Wieland, our new person on this, put in an order for lots of different things. But it focuses on putting thermistors in every one of these gauges so that we can understand the rain on snow aspects and what the temperature is better. Although there are a lot of thermistors out there, we want really accurate ones that can send with the actual rain or snow or what's going on there. We're using a lot more weighing gauges and gauges that can continue to measure precipitation even if it's snow. We're looking at changes in the telemetry, getting away from the alert system and going more to a cell system, and also changes in how we visualize the gauges and the flooding. We'll be moving to a different system. And we're hoping that this makes our network more reliable and easier to use for the Weather Service so that they can use some of these gauges. A comment that they had was, well, we used to use that gauge, but it's become unreliable or we can't get to it or something like that. And along those lines, while I have everybody in the room here, there were some gauges in Sparks, Rob and Amber, that they were like saying, I can't really work with right now, but I'd like to work with them. So at some point, we'd like to get together with you. And if you want us, we could take over those gauges because they find them critical for some of the work they're doing. So we would be happy to work with you on that. I don't want to get into details during the general meeting, but another place we talked about were some of these gauges like
quickly.
Long Valley. Oh, go ahead, Rob.
Just quickly, yeah. I had a little bit of a discussion, and we're actually amenable to that. I know there was a one, so we'll get with
Okay.
you guys.
Yeah, it wouldn't cost you anything. We're just trying to help, and make sure we get that down.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and then the other thing is we did talk with them about Long Valley Creek, and this would be really relevant to Kathy and what's going on at Rainbow Bend. We were talking about maybe the placement of a decent precipitation gauge in a relatively representative spot, because we do, even though that is more of a flash flood issue, we do manage that floodplain. So it's kind of a borderline issue for us, and it's something we need to better understand and get better, when there's when there's event, understand how it responded at the gauge versus how their predictive things we're doing with like radar and things like that. So we've been doing a lot of work on this. We will have a report at some point, but really making some strides to get that system better. Really kind of motivated too after what I saw in Texas. So, something like that really kind of motivates you. Another place was Bronco Creek, which is up the Truckee River Canyon. If you look at a watershed model of that, it's a significant input peak flow, and it's pretty well synchronized with the main peak flow, and it's completely unregulated. There's no dams or anything. So it's a major player, but all we have is two abandoned gauges up there that have been long abandoned. So we're going to look at that more longer term and try to figure something out. The Water Master was very interested in that, by the way.
And George, I think Trina has her hand raised.
Okay.
George, we were recently asked about rain gauge information in the North Valleys, and it seems that we don't have enough, but I wanted to make sure that I know everything that we do have. So maybe we can coordinate about that offline.
Yeah, and we do have, that is not Truckee River Basin, but we do have some on the
Right, of course.
ridges. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we do have some on the ridges that apply to both, like Verdi. There's some ones there, some on Peavine. So we can talk about that. Some of the Sparks one might actually apply too.
Okay.
Because they are, they're kind of near ridges. Okay, that's one thing. Second thing is and we'll talk more about this during the meeting, but just to put it in your head, we are going to have a groundbreaking for our FMA meeting next month on August 8th out at Wadsworth, because they're already starting to do stuff with the bridge. So, and once again with Janelle, we'll make sure we're getting together because these guys are getting ready to really rock and roll on some things. They're working on the survey really hard to get that bridge right, because if you don't set it right, it's a disaster on the abutments there. So so they're trying to really make sure their survey is right, and they're working on power line trees, things like that, to make sure that that's all coordinated. Another one, we'll be talking about this, the July 30th meeting. It's a working group. Comments are already pouring in, and they tend, and we'll talk more about the actual working group meeting, but the comments are already coming in, and they are tending more towards, we need to have like a balance, or we need to have more ball fields for kids. We need to have facilities for the community. So it's a more balanced, I think, set of comments coming out. And they're from a lot of different directions. They're not just one person on that particular topic. There's multiple people with slightly differing perspectives. So we are tallying all the comments, and we are going to, at some point, kind of make them public. It'll be part of our reporting. It'll be part of what we do for the 30%. Number 4, want to just note, and I know a lot of you already know this, but the Reno Riverside Drive berm and flood wall, that was passed by our board on the 11th, and I heard that Reno also passed it, so that is ready to roll, and we'll see what we can do with the berm with a maintenance approach and see if we can get that rolling. But that is, a funding agreement so that we can finally get that 14,000 CFS issue fixed. That the river can contain 14,000 CFS in that area. Finally, the Vista permit. I'm sorry this is so long, but we have been making progress on the Vista permit. They asked us for a bunch of information, thousands and thousands of pages of equivalent. We've got that all into them. We have I also, at a meeting last week, or this week, seems like last week, discussed with the lead core person for the whole nation some issues that we're having on our permit, and they're going to look into that and hopefully accelerate the process. So we're working hard to try to get that permit down the finish line so that we can go into final design on Vista Narrows. And I think that that's all I have for now.
Did you say what the date of that Wadsworth groundbreaking is?
It's August 8th, and we'll be covering that some more when we review the FMA agenda.
Okay. And then Kathy, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, thank you. George, just to let you know that Story County is very interested in working with you on those gauges in Long Valley Creek. And so when you're ready, we're happy to meet with you and talk further about all that.
Absolutely. We might need to help. We might need some help because the land ownership, as you know, is a bit patchy up in that watershed, and who might want to cooperate and who might not, who might shoot us and who might not, who might greet us, who might shoot us. That would be good to know. Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of private property, but I think some people would welcome it. Others may not.
We do have a lot of community oriented people in that community.
Yeah,
I'm sure
I
we can
realize
figure
that. I
something
just
out.
don't know
So,
which is
yeah.
which.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you.
Thanks.
All right. All right. So item number 6 is discussion and possible action to elect a 2025 TRFMA Technical Advisory Committee Vice Chair, Mr. Wolves. I believe that your name is on this item.
Thank you. Not too much to say. As you all know, Joe Coudrier is retired and we need to replace him. So we simply need to have a motion, a second, and a vote. I think.
I'll move to nominate Rob Bedart as the vice chair.
Second.
I'm sorry, who was that second?
Oh, that was Trina.
Nothing.
I see you too.
I was waiting for a comment.
Are there any other recommendations?
I would just like to endorse that voluntold.
Okay. All right, I'll put it up for a vote then. All those in favor of Rob Bedart being our next vice chair, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
You can't vote nay against your own election.
Okay, you can remove me.
Okay, so Rob, you're our next vice chair. Item number 7, presentation and discussion of the status of the rock to McCarran Design Project, including layout for recreational alternatives for July 30th working group meeting and debrief on May 28th working group meeting. George, you have the floor.
Okay, I'm gonna see real quick here who from JUB. Oh, good, there are some JUB people here, so I may hand this off at some point. Do you guys want me to just start this off as the PDF you gave me, or do you guys want to share? What would
I
you like to
have it
do?
up if you want me to. It doesn't, it's up to you.
Yeah, why don't you do it on PowerPoint? It probably looks a little better that way.
Okay.
Thank you, Shane.
Yeah, Shane Dyer for the record.
Let's see, did I get the right screen?
Yeah, I see it. So I'll just introduce this and then hand it over. So this is for what we want to do is preview this with the TAC so that you know what's going to come, what's coming. And if there's something that's really, hey guys, reach is spelled R-E-A-C-H, not R-E-E-E-C-H or something like that. Or some other thing that's, oh, that you shouldn't have that in there, or oh, you missed that thing over here. We would like to get those kind of suggestions as we go through this. That's why we said, taking suggestions from people as we go through this thing. So the first slide here, this is just our first slide showing two very different approaches, not totally different because the inner area is the same for both pretty much, but this northern area, but the southern area is a very different approach in both ways, and both have their advantages and disadvantages. Next slide, please. Okay, so the people that will be doing most of the presentation will be from Wood Rogers. I'm just introducing it. Shane will kind of kick in there too, and then most of the actual talking will be done by Wood Rogers as we get into the presentation. Next slide. And this just shows what we're going to talk about. Next slide. And this is the project need. This is where we talk about, in the past, we've just been showing a thing of Rock McCarran, but here I wanted to show the greater context. Rock McCarran is right there in the middle where the blue area is, where there's that blue chunk there. Not the big blue thing to the right, but the kind of the blue chunk in the middle. That is where Rock McCarran is. That will continue to be flooded at a 100-year event, but it's critical to keep the river in its banks. So at a 100-year event, everything in blue stays in the river and gets inundated, but everything in green is taken out of the floodplain. And that represents billions of dollars of losses that won't happen if the project's built overall. And Rock McCarran is the most critical of the projects. Vista Narrows is foundational because it has to be there for the rest of the project to work. But Rock McCarran is critical because it protects both the north side and the south side of the river. Plus it has serious ecosystem improvements to the river at a very critical location. And it provides, because of all the land that was purchased in the past, it provides an opportunity to add a recreational facility. What type is still up for debate, but a recreational facility that can really be a asset to the community as well. So it does a lot of work. It does a lot of things. It's a multiple use type of facility that's trying to do a lot of positive things beyond flood control. Next slide, please. And I would probably hand this off to Shane at this point. So Shane, if you want to kind of go through this,
Sure.
and then you can hand off to Wood Rogers, like what we're going to do at the meeting. This isn't the actual talk. I'm just trying to bring it in because you guys know a lot of the information already, so I don't want to bore you to death.
And for the working group, I'll just go through some of the background. They haven't been involved with it, so I'll just say that, you know, we did an alternatives analysis in 2024. There was 8 alternatives studied overall in depth, and there was a preferred alternative that was selected with proposed modifications to that preferred alternative. And then we were directed to proceed with the 30% design hydraulically on that. And then we did have a working group meeting on 5/28 where we showed that preferred alternative, and I'm going to show that to you on these next slides just to get everybody on the same page. And then we've also been preparing separately 2 concepts for this recreation, and we're going to share those concepts as well today. So for the working group, most of them, if they went to the first one, will have seen this, but I'll just pull this up and say, here's really the preferred alternative for the hydraulics. And this is what the average low flow looks like for the 350 CFS. And we went into detail on this at our last working group meeting with all the different, we really went through the design and all the features in here and show this for the 5-year event, what it looks like. And then essentially for the 100-year event, what it looks like. And then go into the recreation discussion overview. We're going to talk about some of the existing conditions, the criteria, and then the 2 concepts that we have, which are a nature park and then a nature park with a recreation complex. So this is where I would turn it over to David.
Yes, Shane, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name is David Hewitt. I'm a landscape architect with Wood Rogers here working on the project. The first thing that we wanted to do once we got the handoff from Shane after his introduction was to just talk about the existing conditions, tying in the colored red numbers to the location on the map here, just to kind of set the table essentially for the conversation. Would you mind going to the next slide, please? Thank you much. This is a new slide that Eric, my cohort, planning cohort here, had put in here to kind of help people wrap their minds around the size of this park. The project size for the Rock to McCarran Park project is 168 acres. For comparison, you can see the table to the left, Oxbow Park, approximately 25 acres, Idlewild, 50, Wingfield Bicentennial Park, 9 acres. Long story short, all of these other river attached parks total into 157 acres approximately. So even when you combine all of the existing recreational facilities along the Truckee River that you can see here, it still doesn't match the intense project size of the Rock to McCarran project. Next slide, please. I feel so commanding when I say that. Jumping into this next slide here, we wanted to showcase the non-compatible amenities. I will go into more detail during the meeting, but as most of us know here, the recreational part of the Rockton McCarran Park project is going to flood at some point. So at the 100-year storm, the entirety of the park, all the way down to the roadway, is going to be flooded. And so there are some clearly non-compatible amenities, things that we don't want to put into this flood zone here. One, the sand volleyball pit, anything where critical component of an amenity could potentially be washed away. We don't want to have that there. Playground structures that require engineered wood fiber. That's an image of the Idlewild Park there, which is on a rubberized surface. These items will likely not be floodable, essentially, for lack of a better term. They could be inundated. They could potentially have standing water in there, but there's going to be a myriad of maintenance concerns that are going to spin off of a flood event. Hard courts like pickleballs and just areas like skate parks that could be that have a high cost to them, high installation cost, but could be damaged during a storm event. We also want to stay away from. Next slide, please. Thank you. So jumping into our first concept here, we are titling this Nature Park because the goal of this is to create a recreational amenity that will service the community of Reno, Sparks, Washoe County, the entire region of Northern Nevada here, but to have as light a touch as possible on here. And so the main focus on the Nature Park concept will be an expansion of trails throughout here. Around the middle point of the site, going from east to west, there is a burgundy-colored paved pedestrian trail along the top of an intermediary berm. Everything north of the berm in both of these concepts is staying pretty much the same. The braided river, the braiding of the Truckee River throughout here to kind of increase the flood zone capacity is the critical component of the park. It's the entire reason why this whole project exists. That will not be changing in either concept 1 or concept 2. Everything south of the berm is what we want to focus on here. And so as you can see, the primary amenities are expanded nature trails, meadow opportunities, and a bridge walk over the trail. And if we jump to the next slide, it'll give us a couple concept imagery to help fill this out here. The purple half circle in the middle of the site is conceptualized as a bridge walk from the intermediate berm, connecting itself to the berm from there. So what that does is it raises people and raises visitors above into the tree line so that they're above the paths below them. What we would also like to do is think about adding sheltered bird blinds onto this bridge walk, essentially a boardwalk connecting two parts of the intermediate berm, but to bring in sheltered bird blinds so that people can, as you're among the trees, you can be hidden and you can kind of observe the natural processes of the wildlife in the ecosystem here. The grass and meadow plantings, those meadow opportunities, are areas set aside that we can have some different ideas and some kind of different concepts of what we could potentially put in there. One idea would be pollinator gardens. This could be a native meadow. Another idea would be to have turf in there, to have some kind of a passive recreational element. People could go out there and organize yoga circles, things like that. Or there's even enough space there that kids could go out there and have an impromptu game of soccer. Just some ideas that we wanted to have in concept 1 for the nature park. If we jump into the next slide, we'll have some additional imagery for the nature park brought in to kind of talk about some of the other items that we could have in here. Nature walking trails is kind of the big one here. Natural meadows, pollinator gardens, potentially art installations, picnic facilities, river access. And so this is the core idea of the nature park, of just having as light a touch as possible and trying to enhance the ecological recreation that's available here. If we want to jump into the next slide, we'll take a look at concept 2, which is a nature park and recreation concept. Again, everything north of that intermediary berm, pretty much staying the same. There's not much difference between the trail system and how things are set up outside of different access points throughout there. However, south of that intermediate berm is we have a recreation complex trying to create a regional soccer complex facility to be a destination location to host soccer tournaments for youth, young adult, and even competitive leagues. What we have here, we are able to fit 10 full-size championship soccer fields within here. 8 of them would be the core soccer fields over on the east side. In the middle, you'll see fields 9 and 10. Those are oriented in a less, let me think of, I'll have to think of the best way to describe this. The preferred orientation for soccer and most sports are north-south orientation, so that the sun is always to the south. It's not the worst thing in the world to rotate those, but the preferred orientation is north and south. So in that, the middle soccer fields of 9 and 10, we're able to fit 2 championship-size soccer fields, but they can also be converted into 4 junior-size north and south-oriented fields. So we can instead, it's essentially going to be a long area of turf, and so multiple games and multiple uses for ages can be implemented in that middle zone there. We also had enough room for a junior-sized soccer field on the east of the site that you can see there. If we want to jump into the next slide, please. Thank you. We have some additional conceptual imagery here. Outside of the soccer complex and the recreation, the kind of active sports complex that we're looking at here, there's also a linear park, which is essentially a park that, due to site constraints, in this case, a river and berms and roadways, is squished and spread out. And so same traditional park amenities, but just elongated so that it becomes more of a kind of ties into the trail theme of what we have here. Additionally, there will be river lounges, or could be river lounges inset to the river. As we know, the entirety of this area is set to flood. And so any of these river lounges that are created would have to be flood proof to a certain degree. Would you mind jumping to the next slide? Thank you. Oh, and we just, the previous, there we go. Here are just some additional conceptual imageries. Oh, I lost my screen. I don't know if anyone can still hear me.
We can.
Oh, perfect. Okay. It came back on. That was bizarre. All right. Sorry about that. So this is just additional conceptual imagery and some thoughts about what could happen at the Nature Park and Recreation Complex concept, where we're able to maybe think about having, let's see, let me step back for a moment. What we want to do with the Nature Park and Recreation Complex is to serve as many people in the community as possible. We want to be able to serve the kids who are looking for a place to play soccer or go to a park. We're looking to serve young adults who are also looking to do something a little more active and engaging outside of a typical park, like Idlewild, or even a more naturalized park like the Oxbow area. And so we just have a few different ideas here on how to activate this site to serve the most number of people, as well as fulfilling the main goal of mitigating flood damage for when inevitably we do have another severe flood along the Truckee River. And then we jump into the final slide of questions and comments.
Yeah, and just on the questions and comments, we're going to really hit that hard. And we are already receiving email at that TRFMA email from our last working group. So, like for instance, we recently got 19 comments. So we're expecting a lot of comments to come in from this, and we're expecting this to be pretty well attended. I would say between 50 and 100 people on Zoom. So I hope it's not more than 100 because we'll have some issues, but I think it'll be somewhere in that range.
Okay, and it looks like Trina, you've got your hand raised and followed by Mary.
Thank you, Janelle. I'm gonna hit on the same thing that I'm constantly hitting on. A graphic representation of a cross-section, not a modeling cross-section or a technical cross-section, but maybe some graphic that just shows here's the elevation of mill, here's soccer flat fields, here's an intermediary berm, just so that people can get a feel of how this thing is laid out. Because when you look at the plans, it's very flat and it feels like everything is at the exact same elevation. And so I think that might help some of the people, particularly who want this nature area, or they want the whole thing to be a nature area. It might give them more of an idea that there's a separate, not a, huge separation, but that those things can coexist without impacting each other. Just a thought.
I like it, and we already have the cross sections. They just need to be, maybe put some more pointers on them to show what the features relate to.
And I
But
don't
even
think
some of those are already showing that.
I don't think we want to use that kind of cross section at all. I think it needs to be like a landscape concept section that is.
So the ones we have for Vista Narrows, for instance.
Yeah, and I'm not as familiar with that, but probably something that shows that it's just conceptual in nature, but it does kind of drop down and gives you that feeling of how this all works. That the river's down here, Mill Street's up here, these amenities are here, and these amenities are happening through here. And you don't need 5 of them. I think one could sort of generally describe how things are happening across this, very long site, but and maybe it's where the flat fields are, or the intermediary park and some of the flat fields. I don't know, whatever makes sense. But I just think it tells part of the story that for the average layperson would not understand that this seems like a whole flat area.
Understood. I think that would be helpful for us here and something that we can talk about and work on for next week's meeting.
Mary?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that the comparison to the other parks in the area is very helpful. And I especially like the idea of comparing it to Idlewild, because I was thinking, oh, it's probably about the same size as Idlewild. It's a lot bigger than that. And Idlewild has playing fields and also nature areas. So I think that's a great comparison.
I thought that was too. I think those things will really hit home, I think, with the public of this is massive and there's room for all these things to occur here.
Yeah. I mean, you're basically creating a couple of different parks all at once. Like you're creating the Oxbow plus upland. Like the resort river area is going to be bigger than Oxbow, that Oxbow Park is currently. So I just think that's a great thing to focus on.
And Rich, you have your hand raised.
I just had a quick question. Looked like on the budgeting, there was some budgeting for basically paths, but there was nothing else for developing any recreational areas. So when will there be funding from this project for future park development, or will there be?
That is a that we're working on the design right now. We are working on financing options. Since the fields are floodable, they can be financed through floodable things. Like, for instance, we have it's called SIF program, and I can borrow up to like hundreds of millions of dollars if I could bond for it. I mean, if I could actually show that we can pay it back, and we can up to a certain point. but it needs to be things that are flood related in the park because those are floodable features. You know, we were talking about how they need to be flexible and floodable sort of thing. That's what their purpose is. They actually bring the peak flow down. So they have a flood function. And because of that, we can use that financing source for that. We would also, I mean, honestly, once we have the 60% design, we're going to take this out and look for grants as well. But until we have something, it's hard to go out and actively go after things. So that will be something else we will be doing. But between the financing of loans and the money that we have already saved up, like for Vista Narrows and the design work here, and the grant, there's actually a grant that is funding some of this design work as well. We do have adequate funding to do this if we don't go too crazy with it. So you know, until we actually have harder costs, it's hard to get into all that in any kind of detail right now. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, but at this time, there is no money available to build parks.
Could you state your full name for the record, please? Rich?
Rich, yes.
There is there is no money available for parks. That's not really what I said. I said that until we actually know what they cost, we can't really ask for a loan program or bonding on them. So there are sources. We have a tax under our ICA. The recreation is part of the plan in this location. So there is a funding mechanism, but exactly how we're going to do that, we need to know how much it's going to cost and what programs are going to be available for us once we have concrete costs. But if I go up to somebody and I go, I don't know how much this cost, but can you fund it? That's not going to work. And so I hope you understand where we are in the process. To say that we have no money for parks, that's not, or for recreational facilities, that's really not true. There is a funding stream there and there is funding vehicles there, but we're not at the process yet where we've, you know, put that all together yet. It's a process. And the first thing we have to do is get these designs so that we really know what we're dealing with here.
And I guess lastly, Rich, if you would state your full name for the record.
I think we can just record it as Rich, SVE.
Okay, thank you. Zach, looks like you have your hand raised.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I'm trying to unmute myself over here.
It's okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that just downstream of proposed recreation areas, the Truckee River is listed as impaired and has a total maximum daily load for nitrogen, phosphorus, and total dissolved solids. So I think how these fields are maintained, you know, if they're grass fields as opposed to turf fields, you know, how they're being fertilized and application of herbicides and pesticides are all going to be really important, as well as the extent of the riparian buffer between these recreational areas to mitigate that input of nutrients that could be contributed from these play fields. So I guess the question is, are the designs far enough along to know whether or not this is going to be turf or grass play fields?
They're currently working on options, and this gets it more into the detailing of how we mitigate the nitrogen phosphorus loading. So some of it is the buffering, some of it is how we'll filter this back in and not allow direct flow except during a massive flood or something like that. So that's really that's still in its infancy. And one of the things I just want to emphasize, both questions I think are kind of illustrating this, is we are just coming into the 30% design from conceptual design. So a lot of these things are detailing issues. And one of the reasons that this was chosen, like both options have a fairly generous area for the river meander belt there, is because one of the big reasons for that is just what you stated. Without that buffering area, there's no way we can do that. Here, we have options to mitigate, but we're still working on those. I hope that answers your question for now. But as this design gets more and more like to the 60%, you're going to see more and more of that, Zachary.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, as you mentioned, in its infancy, so being able to navigate the, buffer width, early on in this discussion, might help mitigate, some of those inputs of nutrients and herbicides coming off the play field. So trying to help navigate that prior to 60% design for the move along or move forward. So yeah, just considerations, especially considering the current water quality impairments on the Truckee. Thank you.
And Mary, you have your hand raised again?
My question would be on that, Zach, do you think are you worried about the flooding and of the field and then getting back to the river? Or are you actually worried about leaching of the nutrients into the interflow to the river?
Honestly, it's probably a little of both, but the continual kind of, runoff or potential runoff from these play fields would be a concern. If fertilizers are being, applied regularly to keep the fields green and everything, precipitation events carry that, nutrient-rich water into the Truckee. So, being able to buffer that with the riparian habitat, that's one of the benefits of having a strong riparian area is nutrient uptake prior to hitting the main stem of the river. So yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, but maybe more the continuum. But
I have a little bit of input on that. We actually put space in for a treatment pond where small runoff events will actually collect near the bottom, and we'll run it through a filtration system similar to what we have to design up in the Tahoe Basin, and to clean the water up during the storm events. Some of the groundwater infiltration, there will be a pretty big buffer. So I think that's something, though, Zach, we should probably talk about sooner than later on the design side in terms of the buffer that you're going to be looking for. There is quite a buffer there, but maybe this is something offline you and I need to discuss.
Yeah, I'd be happy to chat. Thanks, Shane.
Hey, Trina?
Yeah, I was just gonna mention that I had this very discussion with Nathan Uliot on our parks team, and he also had some ideas with regard to flat fields and things like that. I don't recall if it's the type of fertilizer, the application rate. There are things that he's already thinking of that Shane, maybe we should touch base with him before you meet with Zachary to talk about those inputs as well. And the recreation team might also have some thoughts.
Yeah, there's different types of fertilizers too that are that have less input, less TDS issues and things like that that we could specify in the operation and maintenance plan that could help mitigate some of this.
Okay. Any other comments or? Okay. All right. I will close that item and move on to item 8, review and discussion of the Truckee River Flood Management Authority draft Board of Directors meeting agenda for August 8th, 2025. Michael Wools.
Thank you very much. So George kind of stole my thunder on this one, but the August 8th meeting is planned to be a groundbreaking for the Wadsworth Pedestrian Bridge project and would take place on site in Wadsworth. As of right now, I don't believe that we have any other agenda items planned. There's some possibility that we may hold a September meeting, although currently I think the plan there is not to hold a September meeting, and then we'd have some more substantive items coming up in October. So do you have anything to add to that, George?
No, I think that that's pretty accurate at this time. I mean, we need to at some point decide what we want to do with the approach that we're going to take on the recreation facilities so that the board can make a decision so that we can help put some sideboards on what the consultant's doing to, you know, keep the the schedule and cost in line. You know, these kind of things when you go too far with two options, it starts eating the budget up.
All right. Item number 9, committee member comments, requests, and future agenda items. Anybody have any comments? Mary?
Actually, I just was thinking about the last item. Are you guys gonna have a bus out to the site? Did you say that? Or
No, currently we do not have a bus planned for that.
Okay.
We will be arranging transportation for our board members.
So if we wanted to go to the meeting, we'd have to just drive there out there ourselves.
It's my understanding that's the plan right now, yes.
Okay.
Or talk to us and we can carpool and things. I mean, you know, we're gonna have lots of cars out there. It'll be on what I call it, the west side or the left bank. There's more room over there. So that's where the groundbreaking will be. So, but there's not like unlimited parking there either.
Thank you.
Well, and I'll mention that I'm actually going to be in Lincoln, Nebraska that day, so I won't be able to attend, but I'll try and get somebody from Washoe County to attend.
Okay, that's good. And, you know, like I said, we want to make sure that you guys are okay with what we're doing. They've actually put the down payment on the bridge now, and so we're moving ahead, and it's all according to plan. There's been no RFIs yet or anything.
Okay.
So.
All right. Any other comments from members? If hearing none, moving on to item 10, public comment. During this comment period, any person is invited to speak on any topic that is not listed as an action item on this agenda. Action may not be taken on any matter raised during this public comment period until the matter is specifically listed on a future agenda. Comment must be made as described above and is limited to 3 minutes per person. I don't see any hands raised.
I have no public comment at this time.
Okay. All right, we will close that and move on to item 11, which is adjournment. Thank you all. We will officially adjourn at 10:53 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.